Charlie Lindgren joins Team USA, and even Miroshnichenko and the Hershey Bears pick up a big win in game number 2.
Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, hello and welcome into this edition of Locked On Capitals. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. As always, this podcast is free and available on all the major platforms, including the SiriusXM app and on YouTube. And I want to thank you for making this your first listen each and every day. My name is Dan Holme. I've covered the Capitals for the last 3 seasons for Locked On and various other outlets before that. I'm also the host of the weekly show called The Capitals Minutecast, available wherever you find your podcasts. You can find me on Twitter. It's at DanCaps218. You can find the show on Twitter. It's at Locked On Caps. And the best way that you can help grow the show is to subscribe or follow Locked On Capitals on YouTube and comment anything down below. So in this edition of Locked On Capitals, we talk about Team USA and their impressive win today, and how Charlie Lindgren joined the team. What will that mean for Charlie and Team USA? A little bit later, we will talk about how the Hershey Bears got a big win in game number 2, and that was in large part due to a certain player. Who is that player? I'll talk about that. And then a little bit later, we will talk about how Kuzi is changing his role with the Hurricanes and in the National Hockey League. But just to get it going here, talking about, first of all, a decisive victory for Team USA that is absolutely killing it. And it's some really fun hockey to watch. If you guys haven't had a chance to watch any of it, a lot of the games are on the NHL network on the state side. And Johnny Gaudreau, he was clutch for Team USA, broke the American all-time assists and points record in the 10-1 victory, while Brock Nelson tied the U.S. goals record. So a stunning display by Team USA, a dominant victory, 10-1. I don't think that that's any clearer case of who won that game. Alex Nedeljkovic, playing for the Pittsburgh Penguins, that's his home team, made 13 saves to secure a victory in the recent game. So Charlie Lindgren did, in fact, join the team, but he did not play in the game. But he is available if called upon. Johnny Gaudreau was clutch, like I said, playing just a huge game for Team USA, and it was very impressive watching some of the highlights back. Wow, a team that was totally engaged. Notable moments in the games that stood out me, including goals by Luke Hughes, Brock Nelson, and Brady Tkachuk. Tkachuk notably scored a hat trick, while Gaudreau set a new American career assist mark. And you know, the thing that I like about these games is it's like an all-star game, except the players are actually putting in the effort. Oftentimes when you see in an all-star game, they kind of mail it in because they don't want to get hurt and the games don't really mean anything. These games have some significance, and it's fun to see these players playing together at such a high caliber. The U.S. dominated the game, outshooting Kazakhstan 58-14 and displaying a strong power play performance. 12 different players contributing points for Team USA with standout performances from Matt Boldy, Johnny Gaudreau, Brady Tkachuk, and Zach Werenski. Just a bulldozing of Kazakhstan and a definitive win. So Charlie Lindgren, he did decide to join the team. After all, initially he said he wasn't going to join the team because he was going to go turkey hunting with his grandpa back in Minnesota. And I think that ultimately why he turned it down initially was because still the bitter taste of losing in 4 games in the playoffs to the New York Rangers was in his mouth. And I think for a period of time he wanted to distance himself. And now that he's removed a little bit from that whole series, I think that when the opportunity presented itself that he could represent Team USA, he did the right thing. The United States has added goaltender Charlie Lindgren to their men's national hockey team roster for the IIHF Men's World Championship. Lindgren joins a team due to injury to Detroit Red Wings netminder Alex Lyon. And I think that Charlie Lindgren, if he would have taken them up initially, could have very well have been the starter. We know what Charlie Lindgren meant to the Capitals and how clutch he was, and not one of just the better netminders for the Capitals, but in all of the NHL. Despite joining the team late, it is unlikely that Lindgren will see any action with a starting position, likely to go to, well, what we saw today, or Trey Augustine. But just taking a look, why he was even considered and what he meant for the Capitals. Lindgren was coming off a successful season in the NHL with the Caps, posting a 25-16-7 record during the regular season and registering a 2.67 goals against average and a .911 save percentage with 6 shutouts. So to say he, got lucky for part of the season would not be true. He was lights out for the Capitals all season. When, to be honest with you, Darcy Kuemper was not. He played a key role in helping Washington secure the final wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. That is an understatement. And, I know that Darcy Kuemper is a very capable netminder, but I think that if Darcy was in there towards these, final months of the season, I don't think the Capitals would have even qualified for the playoffs, period. I really do believe that. So Charlie Lindgren was very instrumental in the Capitals getting where they were at. But taking a look at where Team USA sits now, Team USA has a 4-2 record in the preliminary round of the international tournament, with wins over Kazakhstan, Germany, France, and Poland, and losses to Sweden and Slovakia in overtime. The U.S. is now in second place in Group B, just 2 points behind Sweden and 1 point ahead of both Germany, Slovakia, Poland, Kazakhstan, France, and Latvia sit at the bottom of the group. So, 1 point ahead of Germany and Slovakia. Poland, Kazakhstan, and France and Latvia sit in the bottom of the group. So taking a look at it, Team USA is playing some really great hockey. And of course, being that I'm from the United States, I would love for them to win it all. But Martin Fehérváry played some pretty good hockey as well. It's fun to see these players play outside of their home teams. Seeing Johnny Gaudreau playing for the Team USA, seeing Martin Fehérváry and Charlie Lindgren not wearing Capital sweaters, but how they play for their home country. It's just some fun hockey to watch. And again, if you get a chance to watch it, do it. The Capitals got eliminated early. And if you're, for whatever reason, not watching any of the playoff hockey in the NHL, it is some really exciting hockey to watch. Again, on the stateside, mostly on the NHL network. Let's hope that Team USA can keep rolling. And hopefully, maybe Charlie Lindgren will get an opportunity. Stranger things have happened, but in any event, Team USA with a dominant victory. Let's hope they can keep rolling. All right, so coming up here straight ahead, we will talk about how the Hershey Bears got 2 big wins. So some people think, well, maybe the Hershey Bears got lucky in the first game, but they're not going to be able to do it in the second game. Well, they did just that. And it was due in large part to one player in particular. Who am I talking about? I'll discuss straight ahead. Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It saves you time and money so you can provide your family with a financial safety net starting today. And it's something that you can do right now. Say you're a married guy or gal out there and you have children. Why not, take some of the confusion and worry about the future by getting life insurance so your spouse and family can be protected in the event that something happens to you. I have a lot more of peace of mind speaking personally. Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It saves you time and money so you can provide your family with a financial safety net starting today. And Policy Genius, well, they make it so easy. Policy Genius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to help you walk through it. Talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step. Easily compare quotes from America's top insurance in just a few clicks to find your lowest price. Policy Genius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their top team of licensed experts is on hand. Your work-life insurance policy may not offer you enough protection for your family's needs. So check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com. patreon.com/LockedOnNHL, or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/LockedOnNHL. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all the shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you the can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So the Hershey Bears are rolling at home at Giant Center, was rocking. Post capacity is supposed to be around 9,000. I think they said there was 10,000 fans at Giant Center, and it was some fun hockey to watch. I wasn't able to be at Giant Center, but I watched on AHL TV, and it was quite something. Even Miroshnichenko, well, he is making a name for himself, and I think pretty much cementing himself on the roster for the Capitals in the fall. But it wasn't just even Miroshnichenko. Capitals prospects, even Miroshnichenko and Hendrix Lapierre, they stood out in the game, leading the Bears to a strong victory over the Hartford Wolf Pack. Miro scored 2 goals, including an impressive power play goal, a highlight reel goal. Make no mistake about it. Check it out. Kind of reminds me, kind of Alex Ovechkin 2.0, I guess I'm going to say. And Lapierre also contributed with a goal in a 4-2 win for Hershey in Game 2 of the Atlantic Division Finals, giving them a 2-0 lead. They are on the verge of something great yet again. Miro, in particular, has been absolutely exceptional, scoring 5 goals in the last 3 games, while Lapierre has also made valuable contributions to the team's playoff campaign. And, you take a look at it, Lapierre, we know what he did for the Capitals. I think it's a safe thing to say he has a spot on the roster in the fall, but Miro, kind of a guy that was bounced up and down a bit, not solidifying his spot on the big team, I think could do that if he continues to get solid contributions. And it wasn't just that, it was net minding. And, I bang the drum all the time for Hunter Shepard, but Shep Daddy was in beast mode, stopping 22 of 24, further solidifying the Hershey Bears victory. With such impressive performances from key players, the Bears are in a strong position as they continue their playoff journey. And it's fun hockey to watch, and it's fun. It's a team that's playing very, very well. And I think that is ultimately what I like about it. I saw the struggle with the Capitals. That is not the case with the Bears. And they're on the verge of great things. The Bears 4-2 victory over the Wolf Pack in Game 2 of the Atlantic Division Finals was highlighted by Miro's 2 goals, positioning Hershey with a 2-0 lead in the series. The team has displayed dominance on home ice, winning all 4 of their playoff games in front of their fans. There is strength at Giant Center. The Bears can advance to the Eastern Conference Finals with a win in Game 3 at Hartford. Let's hope that positive mojo continues on the road, where the Hartford Wolf Pack will be playing at home. I think they have what it takes, because you take a look at the Bears. They're not eking into victory. They're not backing into victory. These are decisive victories. Now, make no mistake about it. The Hartford Wolf Pack got in towards the end of the game where all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, it's 4-2. Let's kind of clamp down. But I think that ultimately what it was about was Hunter Shepard was getting screened that led to the opportunities, but they found a way to slam the door on the Hartford Wolf Pack and won a big win. And it wasn't just a big win for the Bears. It was quite an evening for head coach Todd Nelson in his 61st AHL playoff victory, surpassing Bears legend Frank Mathers for sole possession of 4th place in AHL history. The team's performance was highlighted by a power play goal early in the first period and a standout performance by Ivan Miroshnichenko, who secured the 2nd goal of the night in the middle period. So, the tough thing, a bit bittersweet about Todd Nelson, is that he is doing such a good job. I would be most surprised after this, playoff series resumes or the Calder Cup, that he doesn't get plucked up and scooped up by an NHL team. And it's a bit selfish on my part. I want him to stay within the Capitals organization, being the head coach of the Bears. I think part of me thought, if things didn't work out with Spencer Carberry, that Todd Nelson would be the perfect guy. I just don't think that is going to be feasible. And I think that ultimately he is going to get scooped up by another team because we know what the Bears and Todd Nelson did last season. They won a Calder Cup, and they're well on their way to doing that again. But this has been an excellent opportunity for players to showcase. And it's not just about Miro and Lapierre, guys that have had their opportunity on the big team. It's also about maybe names that fly a little bit under the radar, but should be familiar to you if you are a Capitals fan. Ethan Frank and Jake Massey also contributed to the team's success, with Frank scoring the game-winning goal and Massey adding another goal to secure a 4-0 lead. Although the Wolf Pack did manage 2 goals late, the Bears' strong performance led to a well-deserved victory, a decisive victory. This team is rolling, and I don't think that there's anyone that's going to stand in their way that's going to stop them. I know that we saw the struggles, what happened last season, in the final round there, that, it seemed like the Bears going to be able to do it. I don't think that there's necessarily another team in the AHL that's quite the same with what they faced last year. Maybe there is, but I think that the Bears are firing on all cylinders, and I'm going to already go ahead and say they are my favorite to win the Calder Cup yet again. All right, so coming up here next, we will talk about Evgeny Kuznetsov and how he is not the young guy in the league anymore. He's kind of turned into the elder statesman and taking on a different role on the Hurricanes and in the NHL. What is that role? I'll discuss straight ahead. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. And with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your right every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So Evgeny Kuznetsov, as I think back on his time with the Capitals and with the Hurricanes, it's been up, it's been down. I will never forget his contributions and what he meant for the Capitals in 2018 in the Stanley Cup. I think it's safe to say that he is due in large part, the Capitals win is due in large part to the contributions of guys like Evgeny Kuznetsov, as he was clutch. But it's been a bumpy ride. He is the guy that said, I could be the best player in the NHL if I chose to be. We just never really saw him choose to do that. And then there's other issues, whether it's personal or whatever the case is, that he kind of never lived up to the billing of that first round pick that he was, and ultimately why he was dealt away from this team. And it was the right decision, because I don't think that there was any retreading that tire. But now Evgeny Kuznetsov, he is kind of seeing the writing on the walls. He is kind of seeing the lay of the land. He knows what his role is in the NHL, and you need players like Evgeny Kuznetsov. Evgeny Kuznetsov has completed his first season with the Hurricanes, which ended with an early playoff exit in the second round. Following the team's breakdown day media availability in Raleigh, questions have arisen about the Hurricanes' ability to overcome postseason challenges. Kuznetsov, who experienced playoff heartbreak in his earlier years with the Caps before winning in 2018, shared his insights on the team's performance. He said, as one of the few Hurricanes players with Stanley Cup experience, Kuznetsov now takes on more of a leadership role or a mentor role. Drawing from his past experience with the Caps, he emphasized the importance of having veteran voices in the locker room to guide and support the team. And it's an interesting thing. I think that, oftentimes you transition from the young guy to all of a sudden, wow, how did I get to be the veteran? How did I get to be the old guy on the team? But you need those voices. If you take a look at the Capitals, for example, you see the young guys like McMichael and Lapierre, and they look up to the older guys like Tom Wilson and even older Alex Ovechkin. A bit of an interesting thing considering the struggles that Evgeny Kuznetsov has had, but I think that that's a topic for another time. But if he wants to be a mentor just solely based on how to handle certain situations, or sometimes these guys set up activities off the ice, I think that, a guy like Kuzi can show a younger guy, what to expect. The guys that are a little bit wet behind the ears and don't have a lot of miles on their NHL odometer, it's good to have someone like Kuzi around to kind of say, hey, this is how you want to handle yourself here or there. But looking at Kuzi and what lies ahead, Kuznetsov highlighted the need for every player to embrace their roles, work collectively, and maintain a focused mindset to achieve success in the upcoming seasons. With one more year remaining on his contract, Kuzi is poised to continue his leadership role with the Hurricanes. Now, my projection for Kuzi is he will play out the last year of his contract. We know that Washington is retaining some of that salary, and they're getting Kuzi on the cheap, all things considered. And I think he will play his last season with the Hurricanes, and then I think that he will either hang up the skates, or I think that he will play in the KHL back at home. Now, there are certain things that could happen. Maybe there is a complete about face for Kuznetsov. Say he just totally kills it next year. That could change. I don't think that is going to be the case. And when I've watched Kuzi in the playoffs, ultimately, I was rooting for him. I really, really was. I like Kuzi as the player, as the guy. We know he has troubles, but we all do. And I'm glad that he was able to find a role on the Hurricanes. But with that being said, I think he plays out his last season playing in Carolina, and then it's off to the next one. But it wasn't just him. I think that the Hurricanes are taking care of business, and they did that by signing head coach Rod Brind'Amour to a 5-year deal. Now, many of the insiders were thinking, why did it take this long? We know what Rod Brind'Amour means to the Hurricanes. And it's interesting that Elliot Friedman spoke with Jeff Merrick, and he said that usually when I say what's more important, the player or the coach, 9 times out of 10, I say it's the player. But he said in the example of the Hurricanes, Rod Brind'Amour is the most important piece. He is the heartbeat of the Carolina Hurricanes, that if he, say they didn't do the right thing and sign him, things could have gotten exponentially worse for the Hurricanes. So they did the right thing. He is a guy that's fully vested in helping that team do great things. And I think they underperformed, but, they faced the same thing that the Capitals faced, and that was the New York Rangers. And it was difficult, and it was ultimately too much. And it's interesting. And the thing of it is to learn a lesson from all this, because I remember before this last season was played, many people had penciled in the Hurricanes as being favorites to win the Stanley Cup. It's interesting how those perceptions and things can change, or even if you want to bring it closer to home, the Capitals, many people, even Capitals beat writers, said that there's no chance that this team is built for the playoffs. They just aren't. But they did that unthinkable thing. They made it to the playoffs. So sometimes it's about exceeding expectations. And as far as Evgeny Kuznetsov and his role is concerned, it's going to be that mentor role. He's not going to necessarily be the guy that's getting 30, 40 goals anymore. He's going to be the guy that can contribute, but he's going to be that veteran voice on the team for the young Hurricanes players to say, hey, guys, this is what you're going to do here. Maybe not do that. Maybe you can work on your shot this way and that way. And those are all vital roles. You take a look at it, you need the guy that's the fighter. You need the goal scorer. You need the skilled player. You need the fast skater. But all of those together, you also need that veteran voice, and that is ultimately what Evgeny Kuznetsov is in kind of the twilight years, or the back 9, if you will, of his NHL career. Listen, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, your only daily year-round podcast covering the Washington Capitals. And I want to thank all of you that listen on the audio side and watch this on YouTube. You are ultimately what makes this show successful. When you're done here, head on over to Locked On's 24/7 streaming channel, available on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app and on YouTube. All right, once again, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team. It is every day. My name is Dan Holme, and I'll talk to you again next time.